Okay, so not too far off.
No.
Okay.
So I mean, I think if we use a 5 megawatt turbine, just we can say this on camera again. But
Yeah.
So if we want to do like a 375 megawatt project using a 5 megawatt turbine. Let's say we add another 40 feet to that turbine, we can pump out twice as much power as we just produce in Isabella County. So yeah, it's a little over 600 feet, but we have half the number of turbines.
Okay.
Alright, well, I am recording, so I'm ready whenever you guys are.
And you'll look at me, not the camera. So you're good, Dan?
Yep, all good.
Okay, do you feel ready, Albert? You're like, I hope so. Okay, well, the first question is just your name and
Okay. Name is Albert Youngerward, and A-L-B-E-R-T. Last name is J-O-N-G-E-W-A-A-R-D.
And pronounce your last name for me one more time.
Young Award.
Young Award.
Young Award. Yeah. Like the Cy Young Award if you're a baseball fan. It's,
An official title.
official title is Serial Development Manager.
So what's your role with this project? I mean, is it definitely going through? Is there a possibility? What's kind of, where's, right, well, let's start with that question. What kind of stage in the process is this?
Sure. So we're developing a wind farm, which these projects take a good 5 years to develop. We're a couple years into the process, so I'd say we're mid-stage development at this point. Yeah, we have every intention of building a wind farm in Montcalm County. We think there's a great opportunity, and so we're trying to figure out what that looks like and where turbines can go. And there's a lot of questions we don't have answers to yet, but that's why we come do this fun work day in and day out and try to shorten the list of those questions that we don't have answers to. So we're trying to piece it all together.
Why this area? Why was this a place that you guys targeted as, a good opportunity?
Yeah, well, we've seen successful wind projects built in central Michigan. So Gratiot County's got a ton of successful wind projects. We just built the state's largest wind project in Isabella County. That's the Isabella Wind Project, 385 megawatts. We see an opportunity in Montcalm County with the open land, the sufficient wind resources, so we're measuring the wind as we speak, and access to transmission, and there's also, believe it or not, a good bit of favorable landowners who want to participate in the project. So, kind of all those four pieces, but access to the transmission, open land, sufficient wind,
Give me an overview of this project, right? How many possible turbines would there be? How far, from, one turbine to the next? How many would you put in? How many participants and landowners would you need? Could you just give me like an overview if you could?
So one of the challenges we had, we came into Montcalm County, we looked at portions of 10 townships. That's a massive footprint. We say, okay, well what's the likelihood of building across all 10 townships? It's probably like next to zero. There's zero likelihood we build across all 10, but as we take a look at these different pieces of the puzzle, and start to narrow that down, we would like to build a 375 megawatt wind project. That would be the second largest in the state. And we can do it with half the number of wind turbines that we just used in the Isabella project, which was 385 megawatts. So we are looking at about 75 wind turbines is kind of our estimate. So we use a 5 megawatt turbine machine. We can build 375 megawatts and put that power onto the grid. So we have the permission to do that already. We haven't picked the turbine model. So it could be a 5.2 megawatt or a 5.5 megawatt or a 5 megawatt, give us 75 turbines.
When you say power grid, that it would be delivered straight to the power grid, right? Would that energy be locally, focused here? Would it be put back into this area, or would it go all over the state?
We would be producing more power than what we could use in Montcalm County. So certainly more power than could be used in, say, Douglas Township, where we're at right now today. So yeah, the power would get used locally, but it would also go probably to neighboring communities. You can't really control electron. You produce it, it goes on the grid, and it follows the path of least resistance. But the power will get used here locally and elsewhere.
And are there any neighboring townships that you guys are in right now, besides Isabella County? Not townships, but areas.
as a company, we only have one operating project as a company in Michigan. Now, there's a lot of wind projects in Michigan already. We've only built one of them. So this isn't new, and there's other people out there developing wind farms. There'll be more wind farms built in the state of Michigan. But we only have the Isabella project and then this project here. We're working in other parts of the state, but yeah.
And 30-year time span or so?
About 30 years, yeah, 30, the lifespan of a wind turbine is, say 20 to 30 years. Now, you can upgrade the technology, you can put on new blades, you can put on new gearbox, you can make the turbines more efficient. We call that repowering. So 15 years, 20 years down the line, maybe you're repowering, and then they can continue to operate in the future. So the big part of the reason we're here is because the state of Michigan is shutting down our coal plants, and we're shutting down our nuclear plants. And so we're making a transition fundamentally in the way we produce and consume electricity, not just in Michigan, but it's across the country, and it's really a global issue. So there's kind of a revolution in how we produce and consume electricity. So as we shut those things down, what are we going to do, Michigan? How are we going to replace that lost power? And as a peninsular state where we're surrounded by water on all three sides, we don't have the shared border with neighbor states that would make it easier to import power from other states. We've got to produce more here locally and at home here in Michigan. So wind isn't the only answer, but it's definitely part of the answer.
When it comes to, people who are in opposition, did you guys see some pushback in Isabella County as well?
Unfortunately, this is the thing that happens, I think, anywhere you go. And I think you can try to build anything anywhere in America today, you're going to find opposition. Yeah. People don't want pipelines. People don't want gas plants. People don't want gravel pits. People don't want wind turbines. Some people don't want solar panels. We can't satisfy apparently everybody, but there is an organized aspect to this too, where there's opposition to wind energy. A lot of the arguments that we hear, a lot of the concerns are not new. A lot of those concerns have been brought up in other communities and have gone through the same process. You see these projects get built, or you see the communities, there's a significant benefit for communities. So at the end of the day, we hear about it on the front end. But these projects don't destroy communities. These projects are a net benefit to the state, to the local community, and to all the participating landowners.
Could you debunk any of the ways that they kind of have on their big semi over there, like that they're not clean, that they're loud, that they're too tall, that they destroy wildlife? Like, do they destroy wildlife at all? I mean,
so cars kill a lot more birds than wind turbines. Windows kill a lot more birds than wind turbines. House cats kill a massive amount of birds. So, is it possible that wildlife has? We study that on the front end. So we have to be, we have to be good stewards of the environment and all this other stuff. But there's a lot of work that goes into designing, developing, and locating turbines on the front end, so we can try to minimize impacts. But in terms of the environmental impact to wildlife is minuscule compared to other issues that we have out there in everyday society.
So when they say wildlife destructors, they're like more so talking about birds than they can.
That's a good question. I've heard that maybe the deer will all disappear. That hasn't been true anywhere. So yeah, during construction, we're probably going to chase a deer away. And the farmers in the community may appreciate that. Hunters, maybe not so, but the good news is the deer always come back. So wind turbines don't have an adverse impact on the health of local wildlife. They don't have an adverse impact on the health of, say, dairy cows. They don't have an adverse health impact on you and I, humans. So I've heard the narrative, but I don't see that to be true at the end of the day. Science doesn't back that up. Health research doesn't back that up. In the ecological aspect with wildlife, it's a non-issue.
Are they too loud? I mean, are they loud?
I would encourage you to go out and stand by a wind turbine. I'm not considering to say they're silent, but I can also promise you they're not loud. And so we talk about wind turbines and the noise that's emitted from a wind turbine. It's the swooshing of the blades slicing through the air. And so you'll hear it, especially as it cuts down past the tower structure itself. That's what you'll hear, but you'll hear a swoosh. Some people compare it to like waves in the ocean. Other people say it's an annoyance to them. But we site these turbines, we locate them in distances that are far enough away from anybody's home to disrupt quality of life. So we've been pretty forthcoming about that. We have some internal guidelines, internal standards that we use as a company as we look at developing responsible projects. We know what responsibility means. We take that to heart. So safety is obviously a concern. Health, quality of life, obviously a concern. And it's also a fact that you can build these projects. This has been demonstrated all over the country. You can build these projects in a responsible way and don't disrupt the health, safety, welfare, or quality of life of people living nearby.
One last question for you. I know some people have been saying that even Douglas Township, they don't believe Belvedere, but Douglas Township is trying to change their ordinance, and it's not fair. I'm sure there is consideration for this ordinance to be changed, but what exactly would be changed?
So in Michigan, you have local zoning. Local zoning can either be at the township level or at the county level, or whatever that local jurisdiction is. But that's a thing in Michigan, so especially with the township. In Montcalm County, each of the townships are independently zoned. So they set the rules for how you develop a wind farm, or you build a pole barn, or the rules for development in that township are set by the township. The townships have to go through that process. It's not a fun process. We see it oftentimes provides an opportunity for people to get up and raise a motion and kind of fight the process at the township level. I find that to be unfortunate for the townships. I think it's unfair for the township board members and planning commission members. So we're trying to be, by what we're doing here today, trying to open up the doors and say, hey, people have questions. Come on in, let's talk. Let's have an honest conversation. So I hope more people who are standing outside actually come in and join us today. Take a look at what we're actually planning to do and get a sense of fact from fiction. So there is a lot of misinformation out there. Some of it's intentional, some of it's, people are just, it's not their fault. There's some misinformation, or people have heard things that aren't true. So come on in and talk, and let's have that conversation.
Great, I think that's most of my questions. Any idea if it goes through, smooth sailing sort of thing, when would they actually be put into place?
We're looking at a 2024 timeline, I think we're looking at.
Okay, sounds good. I'm just gonna write that down, because I don't want to forget. All right, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it, Albert. Thank you.
Likewise.
I'll be around.
Thank you.